maybe we will start anyway, and if our two missing speakers are coming, they are very welcome to join us on stage. Donc toujours pareil pour les francophones, vous pouvez demander les casques pour la traduction simultanée en français des échanges. Okay, so welcome. Maybe you can introduce yourself again.
Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, it's working. So I'm Anne-Laure Linger. I'm working in the textile industry for like a couple of decades now, and I'm advising Asian group in order to develop their business in Europe. But moreover, we are working on the supply chain, how to decrease the carbon footprints, the product environmental footprint, and it's super interesting to build really some bridge between retailers and industrial in Asia.
Thank you. Yeah, very clear.
Yeah, hello everyone, and thank you for having me today. And I'm Qi Genling, and the founder of the MacLook. So at the moment we have for the fashion brand and the supplier to do for the traceability, and also we help them to do for the digital product passport. So to improve for the fashion industry to shift into the circular economy, yeah, and to reduce for the industrial waste, yeah.
Thank you. Dave?
Yes, hi. Sorry for the late. I missed the time a little bit due to some jet lag. So I'm from Bao Lang Textile. We are a textile R&D company in Vietnam. We started about 15 years ago, focusing sustainable, driven to be sustainable. We can't be 100% sustainable. You're driven to make it better. So we focus on developing fiber, yarn, and method to make fabric better and more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So my first question for you is, which of the Asia's leading sustainable fashion companies do you think we should know and follow? I guess there are lots.
I let you answer this question, maybe.
You can start.
So I'll give some information inside because there's a lot. There are a lot in the way that Asia is very big. You have Taiwan, you have Korea, you have Japan, you have China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India. The difference is it's not about company. Each country have their own focus. Let's say for Taiwan, there will be more focus in recycle yarn, but with function. Let's say like coffee yarn, collagen yarn, carbon yarns, or they have something very new is biodegradable spandex. So something like that will be more focused in a certain country. And then Korea also, they have some carbon yarn, carbon absorbing yarn from polyester. And in China, they have like soybean cellulose. So it's not about, to me, I think it's not about a company. It's about your brand. What do you follow? What do you want? You be natural or you be functional? If you want to be functional, and you can go to like a country where they have that kind of material available, and you can find a knitting or a woven company that suit your brand. Well, what certification do they have, or what standard do they have? And you can choose from the option. So it's very difficult to find one company to follow, but you can follow the trend of that country development, say, a certain area to go. That's my thinking.
I'm fully aligned with you. This is why I was a little bit confused, because yes, it's more regarding countries than like companies, and I really appreciate your focus regarding Taiwan and China. And then we could add that, for example, India and Pakistan, they are like super focused on recycled cotton, recycled pre-consumer cotton, or all this kind of thing. And so every country has this kind of specialty, yes. And we have to take that in account in order to choose, the right method.
Yes.
Anything else?
I will just add a little bit more information in China. So actually, like in China, it's as I mentioned before, it's not really like it depends on what kind of the company or fashion brand. So you're working on the sustainability. Actually, in China, it's more like for the region stuff. So for example, in the Suzhou area, so lots of Oh, yeah, sure. So, for example, the region in China, they have the Suzhou International over there. So they are the company more focused on like for the coloring and the dyeing process. So actually reducing like for the water waste like a lot, like for more than like 30% or 40%. So yeah, and also like for the energy efficiency, like they are more kind of company, they are on the west of China because they have pretty like long like for the sunshine and they pretty developing for the solar power over there. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing? Yes. Sinan from Vietnam. Just add one more little thing, sorry. To talk about Vietnam, some company, there are several companies you can look into. Like there was Cytex, where they have their own department for sustainable. So they're working on a lot of sustainable material. There's Thương Long, and there's also Vinatex. They also have a certain department. So now they start to have a department of sustainable to make the company more sustainable. So that's something you can look into. If that company have a sustainable department that can make themselves more sustainable. Thank you.
Yeah, I was also thinking about what you said, like sustainability, it's not just a question of fabric and having like a recycled fabric or recycled polyester, whatever, but it's also a question of how we can decrease our environmental footprint, how we can work on water treatment, how we can work with biomass, with solar panel. This is something where, I mean, there is huge work to do in this way because we have very soon, as you said, like the passport for the product, and this is like it's going to be a nightmare for us, and we're going to realize how much pollution we are currently creating.
Yeah, true. My second question is how are Asian companies organizing themselves in face of the new US president's trade policy, and globally, what risk does the current geopolitical situation pose for Asian sustainable fashion companies?
I think you are very lucky.
I can't speak for all Asia. I can try to speak for Vietnam. So in Vietnam, I think there's two sides. Some companies a little bit confused. They don't know what to expect, like because Trump is difficult to expect. Some company happy because they're following Trump a lot and they see that, okay, Trump up, there might be something changes. It's good for them. There's more order, or Vietnam have more opportunity. So it's a mixed feeling. It's not one complete feeling. But what we can see more is company more positive this year. Garment factory, textile factory in Vietnam, they more positive, receiving order, and then they have more requests. So that's something for us. We can see some be positive. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think many companies will have to relocate their sourcing, and Trump is like pushing for Vietnam, for India, as he's considering like friendshoring like production and not. I mean, he's of course he will put like 10%. He might. We never know. Now
it's more than 20%.
Yeah, it's more 20%. Yeah, I mean, every day it's changing, so it's even like a little bit confusing. But for sure, we're going to have like a kind of relocation of also different production. Maybe it's an opportunity for European companies to focus again on China, because we might have like empty capacity that we can play with, because from my point of view, Vietnam and India will be quite overwhelmed by USA. No, you are not agree. Okay.
I totally agree. Actually, I can talk about a little bit about the Chinese government policy according to for the U.S. section, to increase all the tax. Yeah. So actually, Chinese for working with American market, even for the European market for since many years, and actually it's a main of the global factory in China. So for after Trump, they want to increase for the tax to the China, and because for the Chinese, the supplier and the brand, they are really strong. So actually, they will do the same for the tax back to the American company. So actually, in the end, so it's will be increasing pricing into the consumer.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and also for the second fact is for American, also like for a European, like a brand, and they will do like more nearshoring. So, for example, they will not like to do like the sourcing as much as before in China. So they will do the nearshoring, like for example, the Turkey, and like for the Canada and the American, they will do like more nearshoring with Mexico, and also the South American. So that will be for the main trend like for the coming years. Yeah.
Thank you very much for those insights. Very interesting. Yeah, you wanted to add something?
No, I was thinking that Turkey, we are facing like high inflation in Turkey, so it's more and more difficult to buy from Turkey side, and we are looking to relocate partly. Yes, for sure, neighborhood countries is something we are looking for, but we cannot get rid of Asia. I mean, Asia is like the main source for USA and for Europe.
Yeah, most of the advantage of the Chinese supplier, like also for the fashion brand, is the cost. Because when you can to either like you like the compliance for the new technology or like for the sourcing strategy, you always come to the cost. So because like for the finance statement, like you always need to be steady, and also like you need to work. So it's not about like made in France or made in Portugal, Italy. So if for the finance statement it don't work, so you have to sourcing like in the cheaper labor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we will come back to the geopolitical questions after. How are the new European regulations perceived in Asia? And will they have a real impact on the main textile and clothing on the main textile and clothing exporting countries? Because of course here we hear a lot of there's a lot of communication around those new regulation, but how is it perceived?
I can start, but you want to start?
Okay. It's not one-way vision. So there's company preparing for the change, and company that is just following the customer request. So there's company that are really upfront following whatever the trend is happening in Europe or around the world, and they're preparing. And they feel very comfortable, and they're looking for that to happen. You know, it's like PPJs in Vietnam, they're doing a lot of preparation. And also some Korean company like Samivina that I know of, Songhua, they're preparing. So some of the garment factory where they're following, they will have a time struggling, like a short period of time where they meet up that standard and do that all that calculation. But sooner or later they will have an impact because they have to follow, because that's how it's going to be. Last year I visited the UN office in Hanoi to talk about they're going to implementing a eco passport or a product passport. That's going to happen. They calculate the carbon footprint of products, and company have to follow. You know, brand follow, and when brand implementing it, company will provide the tools to calculating that for the brand, for the consumer. So it will make an impact, but the duration of the impact will depend on the company and how they react or what size they are.
From my point of view, it's not so easy because you have brands. They said, okay, please give me all the supply chain and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And sometimes we discover, oh, by the way, there is a converter in between. So we have no clue where this fabric come from or where this yarn come from. And okay, I mean, this was like 1 year and a half back. Now we improve a little bit on this part. But still, we still have some, let's say, full discovery sometimes. So this is the first part. Second part is, okay, sometimes we have like, I heard like a supplier said, okay, I've been asked to change all my setup to go for biomass, to go for recycle, to increase the salary by 15%, etc., etc., etc. And then, but they don't want to pay me more. They want to pay the exact same price, but they said now it's mandatory to pay my workers 15% more. So how could I deal with that? And this happened quite regularly. So we have to be aware of sometimes about this kind of situation.
That's for sure. Because sometimes we have the feeling that those regulations are just for European companies, and it's forgetting that we are all connected, and of course the supplying countries have to be involved.
It's not so easy, let's say, on the production parts, and so we need really. I mean, we as brand, we really need to help supplier in this way, to make some workshop, to double check if what we ask are not just out of the blue, etc., etc. So and same thing. Last time I had like the question. They ask, okay, it's what I said. How much kilowatts per pieces for these pieces? Come on, they had no clue. Yeah, you are laughing, but it's a reality, you know, because we had to fulfill this kind of platform to calculate the carbon footprint, and so it was a question. But
yes, it's happened. It's happened. I do come across like your question is it just depends on some company they prepare and some company they don't.
Yeah.
And with the company that prepare, they still have things just come up. Can you give me this? Certainly, that's out of the blue. I don't know how to give you that because that formula is not available. You know, that's happened. And we have one brand approaching us before, want to do recycle yarn in Vietnam. And they want us to make sure that it's not Xinjiang cotton from the recycle. I say, I can, but in one way. All the leftover clothing from you, I recycle from you. Then I make sure that it's not Xinjiang cotton or something like that. It's one of the mill that we're talking today. It's happened, you know. You have to have solution, but then again, it's not always new thing coming up. I agree with you. It's not easy, but it depends on you preparing or not.
Workshop is super, super important. Now, I mean, to sit in a round table and to exchange clearly about all the different difficulties. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I will.
I was curious to know your opinion. Like,
I will take a little bit more closer about the Chinese market. Actually, like for the new regulation of the European, so it really depends like how large you are, like in China. If you are large supplier, they will all like implementing all the regulation. That's no problem because even if like in the Suzhou International in China, which is the region in the north, so actually already use not just for the implementing the regulation, according to the EU, and also they implementing the AI sustainability to do all the way down about the traceability from the organic material sourcing until like end of the line. So they do all the LOCA and also the digital product passport as well. So they already use the AI to track all the process. So they, in some of the cases, for the large supplier in China, so they are quite advanced technology in the world at the moment. Yeah. And for the new regulation coming for like more struggling is for like a small medium supplier in China. So actually like they want to apply for the new regulation according to like for its obligation for all the fashion brands and also for the suppliers, but they have the financial statement issues. So I like case like for now like they are really struggle like when you have the new regulation coming out for the new for the Chinese suppliers. So they actually will limit like for the new entrant for the small medium suppliers. Yeah, that will be the one of the limits. But if like for the Chinese government, they can like supporting for the financial supporting, that will be the pretty much like to have for the small and the medium supplier over there. But in the case in the end, so what gonna happen? It's gonna happen for the European fashion brand when they do the sourcing, they will have the preferred supplier. So the preferred supplier, that means they have as much as possible for the sustainability certifications, and all they have all information to check all the way down from the where's the garments made and who made it and where's the factory look like and what exactly how much they save the water and how much they use the energy efficiency when it comes to the sustainability. Yeah.
And of course the adaptation capacity is huge, but yeah, the context has to be more supportive.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, like for now, like when it comes to the sustainability, for example, for the efficiency of the energy. So if you want to adopt like for new renewable energy, it's quite costly. So I like it's like they need to build huge like for the solar panel in the ways. So yeah.
My next question is, in your experience, what are the main obstacles to the development of sustainable fashion industry in Asia? Because it's true that I don't know if you will agree, but from a French viewpoint, we hear a lot about Chinese innovation, for instance, in the AI area or robotics, or we talk about Korea for cosmetic. Can we imagine that those countries could also become leaders in sustainable fashion, as they are already leaders for manufacturing fashion products?
Yeah, I didn't. Okay, it's an interesting question. First time I have to set it up. Just before that, when you were speaking, I was thinking about transaction certificate, and and you was talking about digitization. Today, we are playing with transaction certificate because we have all the data, as you said, from the origin. And we are using like blockchain in order to retrace the supply chain and to have like a kind of visibility of what happened. So yes, we are struggling to have all the data, but thanks to finally sustainability fiber, we achieved to trace at least half of the production. So it's not bad in this way. So yes, and China as China has like lots of software, and they could totally be leader into digitization of all this industry and all this process. Clearly, we have tested 4 or 5 different tools in order to trace the supply chain, different platform. And the one which was like the most successful was playing with TC, transaction certificate.
Thank you. What do you think about it?
Sorry.
The main challenges.
It's a very interesting question, but if you look at it, it's difficult to say. Because the textile industry is shifting around. They're usually in Europe, into US, and then go to Japan, Asia, and China. They're moving around. And every time they move, every market create their specialty. Like fabric still make in Italy, you know, and their specialty, only Italian make it. And then fabric still make in Japan. Only Japan have those fabrics. And Korea and Taiwan and China. After every time they move, they create a special market in that certain area. And it's, to be leader in one field is not easy. Textile is very big, especially fashion too. You know, Paris is like the hub of fashion. A lot of trend and thing created in Paris. People still follow the world, US, a lot of countries follow what happened in, you know, fashion show in Paris. There's a lot of fashion show happen in Asia. Used to before we follow Korea, because Korea have a lot of K-pop, a lot of music, a lot of star. We follow the star, how they dress. It's create a certain trend in Asia, but that trend only stay mostly as in Asian country. But if you see the K-pop trend, they sometimes follow the European trend as well. So I think there were some changes, but they still, you know, in the leading in trend in design in fashion is still in Europe. And then in Asia, they will create their own like specialties, certain type that they are suitable for that country. And each country, they will have their own specialty in textile that they create. That will be more of that way. It can't be just one country leading. It's just every country have a specialty in a certain area, and they specialize more strongly in the area.
Yes, and you want to add something?
Yeah, sure. I will just add a little bit more. So actually, it's, in China, you have 20% of the population in the world. So I'm not surprising, like if they have a certain technology leading in the world, like in China, it happened like it's just a couple of weeks before, like the deep sea. So they're still leading like for the generative AI, wherever they do the copying or something, but they definitely have to do something more, like a new innovation. Otherwise, they will not competing with ChatGPT. So also like back to the textile industry. So actually in China, like they really implementing and advancing like technology in all process. Like they from like even for the sourcing material, the social media use the technology and also like for the AI, like to track like what kind of the technology and the dyeing process and how to save the water and how to use the digital twin and to do more efficiency like for the production and for the material sourcing and also even for the end of the life cycle, they do everything and they do the digital product passport. But for now, the digital product passport is more like trendy, like in Paris. But for yeah, but China, the fact is the China they will catch up pretty quick. So let me show you the one of the example. So last year, like KPMG, they show like for the environmental reporting. So in the past, like in Chinese supplier and also fashion brand, they don't do the ESG reporting. But just 1 year, they catch up for the more than 50%. So imagine like a top tier, like for the supplier, they don't have the reporting anymore. And suddenly, just in 1 year, they have more than 50% of the company have the reporting, and they have the supply chain like a traceability. Just the number is between the 2021 to 2022. So for the and also back to the new regulation, like in European regulation. So for the Chinese supplier and brands, they will catch you up pretty fast. It's not like for the European market. I take a look at the data of the KPMG and the European market, they adopting the new regulation, they slowly by slowly. For example, like this year will take like maybe like 5% or 10% like to adopting the new reporting or CSR day or CS3 day, whatever. So they will just a little bit by a little bit. But for the American market, they will a little bit slightly more than European market. But for the Chinese market or like the Asia market, they will adopting like for new regulation pretty fast. They can just within for a few months. Like if you need some of the obligation for the regulation for the supplier and also for the textile industry, they can do just in a few months.
All right. So my next question is. But you have already anticipated a little bit on this one. Which countries stand out in terms of their efforts towards a more sustainable fashion industry, and what are their investment strategies?
I mean, all of them are like working very hard on this because they know it's like mandatory in order to keep like customer. So there's no point. So we've seen some huge investment everywhere. Like, for example, like Inditex is pushing quite a lot in every, let's say, key countries because of the joint life. So they are like super pushy regarding solar panel, like renovative energy, water treatment plant, etc., etc. And finally, I have to say they are pushing all the industry to comply with that. So in a way, they are like a kind of helper, I have to say, for this part. I don't know if you're aligned or not with that, but then. So then we have like a big effect in even some country which are like not ready to invest. Well, because of these kind of big groups, they have to move.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's actually a push and pull. You know, if they push and somebody will pull. In a way, is every country they try to be more sustainable, because sustainable before a lot of company that I visit, because we are R&D, we work with a lot of factory, they view sustainability as a cost before. But now it's different. They see sustainability as an investment. It's helped them to be better, because in a way, if you're more sustainable, you will know your loss and you can concentrate on your loss. You can lower your loss. And if you invest in new technology, you can concentrate and be more clearly about how you work. Mostly in the sustainability, most of the issue that the company that I work with, or I know them, or they're my customers, is the calculation. Somebody have to manage all the paperwork. They don't worry about the investment, but the paperwork that they have to do is a lot. That's what they worry. And some of the owner, most of the owner is old, and they don't want to deal with paperwork. That's one of the issue only. Yeah. So if they understand that, okay, it's an investment and the paperwork can be shorter, now their AI, their technology can manage that for them, they're welcome, you know. So I think we're going to be sustainable sooner or later. We have to be. We only have one place to live, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the paper to fulfill, it's a kind of nightmare, and like company has to integrate the cost now in the costing. Yeah. One thing is quite interesting is that because we have this peak of electricity price in many Asian countries, we had lots of improvements regarding solar panel, biogas, because of the price of electricity, and issue also about available of electricity capacity in different countries. And finally, we achieve. Some Asian countries achieve to be more sustainable in this way. Yeah. For electricity supply.
Yes.
Yeah, for what I think about the sustainability strategy, for example, if you are the fashion brand, so you actually you need to select it for in the beginning stage, to select it for the organic material. So actually, when you take a look all the sustainability, so for the material part, when you select it in the first stage, it will be more like 60%. So when you talk about for the carbon footprint, so for the transportation, even if you do the sourcing in China. So you do the shipping, I will do the flight to the European. Actually, for the transportation, in the whole value chains, they only just the percentage for the whole carbon footprint just only 4%. But for if you select in the beginning stage, you select for the sustainable materials, so we'll definitely say for the 60% of the whole carbon footprint. So what does it mean for the sustainable material? So for example, they have the sustainable supplier, they help us to doing this because they save the water already, and they already they take the material from the nature. It's not from the chemical, the processing, etc. So that will be help a lot. And after for the sustainability, it's not for the marketing purpose. So you do in the beginning phase, and if you do for the quite good organic sourcing, and after you can think about how you do for the sustainable image via social media platforms and etc. Yeah. And always keep the when you do the sourcing with supplier, always keep a long-term partnership with the supplier, and to keep track with supplier, because whatever you do for the carbon footprint, all the paperwork, you need the data. So data for the fashion brand, you need from the supplier, and you need to make sure. So when you find the supplier in the coming year or in the future, so they want to publish for the data, and they want to share with the data with you. Otherwise, you cannot do for any for the reporting, or even for the digital product passport, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about from the trade shows perspectives, we heard about this, especially from Chinese organizations. But we have to say that also the Pakistan is really dynamic. I know on apparel sourcing they had a pavilion dedicated to sustainable apparel from Pakistan. We also had, I think, a lot of Indian companies. Of course, it's maybe cultural and related also to the food industry. But each time I organize a roundtable on sustainable topics, very often I have an Indian industrial in the audience really asking questions, very relevant questions, and pushing a lot on those topics. So this is why I was thinking that maybe there are some countries that are particularly dynamic, but I understand that it's obviously more complex than this, and there are efforts everywhere, and maybe...
I want to tell you something which is funny. Currently, we have a trend of recycled cotton pre-consumer. This is super trendy. Previously, we had organic cotton. Then we had BCI. Today, the trend is recycled cotton. The problem is we don't have enough recycled cotton. So suddenly, the market is creating recycled cotton. So we have to be aware of that. Yeah. And recycled polyester, this is a little bit different because, as like the previous panel said, it is from bottle. But yes, if we are like talking about recycled fiber of polyester, it's like less than 1%, and the quality is not qualitative at all. So clearly, sometimes we want to be, let's say, sustainable, but we are focusing only on labels on the product, and we have to focus on all the supply chain and all the different process, as we said earlier.
Yeah, this is exactly what you was mentioning in your presentation this morning, like showing that the quote
source.
Yeah, people are asking for the certification much more than the final results, which is an issue. And yeah, we just, in the previous panel conversation about upcycled textile to textile and circular fashion, we also mentioned the problem of certification when it comes to the details and textile to textile and all those things. So it's, yeah.
And even if like a company can provide the TC, the transaction certificate, how can we be sure this type of product will be used finally in the production? This is something we have to be aware of. Yeah.
Yes.
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 So I would like to add something on that. And also, it's trendy last year in Vietnam too for recycle, especially recycled cotton. Vitas in Vietnam did a project with GIZ in Germany for recycled clothing, and then preventing in the Vitas 50-year anniversary. I think it's 50 or 40, I'm not sure. So I was there. But to look onto that, so the trend on recycle is happening, and recycle actually is possible, right? When you look at recycle, the biggest cost in recycle is logistic and sourcing. Those two only, because the material is there. You like cutting waste, it's supposed to be cutting waste. It's a waste. It's supposed to be free or cheap. But then again, you have to source the color, source the composition, and then source the direction where they're from, you know, and then the weight, and also source the logistic. Those are the costs, the processing costs. If that can be working, you know, like a recycle or company or fabric or textile company can work with brand and they communicate, use that from the brand, recycle for them. Sourcing from the source, you can lower the cost, and that can be efficient. When you're efficient, you have something that can, you know, last and can also continue. Also, a lot of companies that I know, they're investing in recycle, but they hesitate. They hesitate in the way that they don't know how long will it last. They didn't invest fully. They just do partially, and then they wait, see if it's going to last, then they reinvest. If you want to do something, you're fully doing it, then you can have that efficiency. But then to be brave enough to do it, you have to have somebody, you know, working together and make that synergy, and then, you know, build a loop, build a chain, and that can work. Yes.
Yeah, so I have a bridge for my last question, which is under what conditions can producing in Asia be relevant in terms of environmental impacts for a European brand? I guess you have something to say about it.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, under what conditions can producing in Asia be relevant in terms of environmental impacts for a European brand? Because, you know, we used to associate local production with sustainability. And, but of course, when it comes to international company, I think it's organize the sourcing locally means having producing capacities in different countries. So that's why I'm asking the questions, because of course most of the fashion companies, European companies, are sourcing in Asia. You have illustrated this very well this morning, but how can they be sustainable in this condition if their main market is European? Or maybe it's not.
Okay.
No. Chinese is the huge market.
Okay, so sustainable is a very big word.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in sustainable. You have water waste, you have people, you have wave, you a lot of things happening inside. So I think one thing that European market is following and implementing is the passport, isn't it? The product passport or the carbon footprint. Something you can calculate, something you can, have a number onto how sustainable you are. And from that, if you have something to calculate, you have something to go with, then it's come back to your source, because every company, every brand source differently. Their products is not lying in one country. Sometimes they do, but a lot of time they lie around the world. The supply chain is not focused. The supply chain is divided. It's how to be efficient in your supply chain and still sustainable. There's many ways, but it's not easy.
With the product passports, what we're going to have is we're going to have like a full transparency about where we produce each step. And finally, if we produce everything in one country and then do a kind of sea transportation, I mean, in terms of carbon footprint, it will be better than doing like the production in 3 different countries and each time having like a kind of plane or a boat in between. And this might help us to make supply chain in the textile industry more relevant, because sometimes in order to have like a nice made in, we do crazy things, and it would be better to have like the real traceability and transparency from yarn to finished product.
Thank you for this clarification.
Oh yeah, sure. I just want to add a little bit more like information for the last questions. Actually, like for now, like from the reporting from the last year from the BOF and McKinsey, the reporting, the state of fashion. Actually, at the moment, all the recycled material, so 99% in the worldwide, so it's recycled by the plastic bottle. So from the textile to textile, actually like it's less than 1%. So that means like all like recycled material you are seeing, or you are wearing, or you are buying now, actually is all made in the plastic bottle. So for what I think, like for the textile to textile, they still have the huge space to develop. So for allied technology, yeah. And for what exactly for the Chinese supply and how do they impact for the European market or brands? But actually, like we can just make down like what exactly in which dimension you're talking about, like how can it impact for the European market or European regulation. So when you talk about for like eco-friendly or like for the environmental, so actually it's a carbon footprint. So carbon footprint is how good you are for the products. So if you navigate like whatever you made in France or Italy, so or even if like sourcing in China, so in the end, as you mentioned before, the digital product passport. So if the same number and the carbon footprint, so if the Chinese either have the performance like less for the carbon footprint, so in that case, like we can still source like in China, yeah. So for most of the people, they have the misunderstanding about like made in locally. So like, that means like the product will be better. With just the less carbon footprint, but actually, like for that, it's like they just reduce a few percentage of the carbon footprint. But for the sustainability, it's huge, and the whole production, material production, and water dyeing, the whole process is huge. The whole value chain is pretty huge. So when you're done on the paperwork, so it's like you need to make sure, like for each process, each step, so you are like collaborate together, and in the end, and okay, so we are pretty good like performing for the eco-friendly or like sustainability that compared to for the two market, the Chinese market and also for the European market. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I want to add a little bit more. When we look at the product passport, it gives us a very clear view of how the production and where they're from, the transparency in production change. But we need to remember also one thing is, as human, even though sustainability is important, but we have the right to look pretty, right? We have the right to dress nice and be nice. So it gives us a clear view, but also some certain product is because of the geographic of that country. They can make that product better. It's not that I try to be in one country, but sometimes you can't because it's just that guy just make it better. Sometimes there's a bakery across 2 streets away. It's better. You have a bakery next door. You still want to walk 2 streets away to eat it because it's better.
Yeah, like that's common sense.
Yeah, we have a request from Italy.
Yeah.
From the pineapple fiber we produce on the yarns, we have a request from Italy to send the yarn here to May and then to try to make the fabric in Italy. So that make it clear that, you know, like it's just some country, they do a certain thing better than other. And sustainability give us a very clear view. Product Passport give a very clear view of how it is, and we can design on that trade-off. You know, you choose it, there's a trade-off, but you have the right, you know. Yes.
Thank you very much. Maybe you can provide a conclusion on this very difficult and wide topic before we ask for your questions.
Okay, I will try. For me, as you said, sustainability is a very big word, and we have to work on all the different steps. And like the water treatment plant, the dyeing part is where we have like a huge improvement to go for, and we really have to secure this part. It could be like a disaster in terms of soil pollution, water consumption, etc. So yes, it is super important to work with recycled fiber, but it is also super important to secure this pollution bombing. Yeah.
Thank you.
For the conclusion, I will just give a pretty simple example. So as a consumer, so if you want to go to the shopping like in one of the store, so with one of this white T-shirt, they will have lots of the certification, and then also have the digital product passport. When you're scanning, and you can know all the processing of the how good they performing for the in any sense you can touch, you can see like for the how good the company for the sustainability. Instead of for another T-shirt, just pretty simple the white T-shirt. They just pretty much as a traditional, just one QR code, and 30% made the cotton, and another 30% they made the polyester. So in the end of the day, so actually the consumer definitely, if it's same price, the consumer definitely will choose like one with as much as possible sustainability certification, and also have more like a digital product passport, or have more information to like navigate like a whole the supply chains. Yeah.
Yes.
My conclusion is sustainable in a way is a little bit difficult, but however, it helped to creating a lot of mind-blowing products and a lot of mind-blowing companies. You have CO2 dye, you dye fabric without using water. You have, you know, fabric made from coffee, you have yarn from collagen, you have orange fabric, you have seaweed, you have products that won't be happened if there's no sustainability driven, you know. So it's a movement, it's a direction, and we'll keep creating more new innovation, push company to go better. Yeah. So in a way, it's difficult, but there's a reward if you're going. And if you keep pushing yourself to be more sustainable and try to be, it's a reward at the end. Yeah. So I think, yes, it's fun.
I love this conclusion. I mean, as humans, we always need this kind of challenge to innovate and be creative. I think we need it. So, yeah, thank you so much for your conclusion, all of you. And now, if you have questions, it's time. Yes.
Yes, so I might have two questions actually. So the first one is, as you said, as brands, we are asking more and more data concerning our products. What are the processes? What are the materials that we are using? The certificate and so on. So what would be your best advice to try to help our supplier to not push them too much to like glowing face?
The goal is not to focus on one single style, but to work on the like family of products, to sit on a table to say, okay, basically this is a goal we have to achieve, the road we want to take. What can you provide? This is what we have seen from the market, and how about working on this different target? For example, now we established some roadmap, and for every 6 months they have to achieve 1 or 2 specific points regarding sustainability. Okay, for the next 6 months, please focus on this production step. We want to have all the data, etc. This is the different software you can use, because also we have this issue about software, SaaS, etc. The goal is also for them to adopt European software and not US software. It's much easier at the end for everybody.
And in the case that we have one supplier who don't want to give any information because they are afraid of giving like the recipe, the kitchen recipe, if you can say like this, even if we are like, no, we don't want to have as much details as you think, but just to understand the process, what would be the advice that we can give them?
It's happened in the past, and then we establish a kind, again, of roadmap. Okay, if you are not ready to give this information and we're willing to help you, well, we will divide it by 10% every season, the volume we're going to do with you. It's it's quite harsh, but it's a way to I mean, the goal is to cooperate, but also the goal is to we have an emergency to have full visibility. And it was not only a question of sustainability, it was also very interesting for us, especially post-disruption of the supply chain, post-COVID. We have like a totally messy situation, and it was also a way to clarify and to have better visibility.
Okay, and the last question, sorry. So the other one is like, we know that our suppliers are having more sustainable processes because they have lack of water, as you said, they have some difficulties with the energy and so on. So we have one difficulty is that sometimes when our buying team are having a meeting actually with our supplier, they only talk about styles, fabric, product and so on. But sometimes suppliers are like, if the brand is not asking, we won't tell, but in any case, they are investing in that, and we have we are obliged, if we can say like this, to be aware about this because we want to help them as well in such way. So, what would be also because you are talking about workshop and so on, but is it very efficient? Or?
I mean, the goal is during the workshop, you can say, okay, what is like the innovative, printing you can provide, and which could use less energy, less water, less blah blah blah. So we also ask them their innovative solution, you know, and the goal is to do co-creation and not only to push for different style, but also to let us provide us like novelties. You was talking about coffee fabric, all this kind of thing. Yeah, let's play with all these different innovation. Maybe we don't know yet, you see.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that there's also this possibility to provide a tool to your supplier and telling him, like, really engaging yourself to not take any data from him, just for him to calculate the impact of his product. And it is possible with tools just like the one we had Be Aware on stage before. And if you do this kind of thing, maybe then your supplier can realize that his impact is not that bad. And I don't know, maybe it's utopic, but it can be this kind of dialogue which can drive to more openness. But we are very much aware about this topic on the trade shows because we created the Econergy Finder. And at the very beginning, some of the companies were telling, yeah, but I think I have the certification, but maybe it's not good for me to advertise on the fact that I am sustainable because people will think I'm more expensive. But finally, they apply because it's also a competitive advantage for most customers now in Europe. So, you know, it's also a problem. It's also, and above all, maybe a buyer side problem first. I don't know what you think about it.
Most of the factory, when they're applying for that certification, they want to advertise. So the price is very difficult to say. It's not because you're sustainable, you're more expensive. No, it's not because of that. Sustainable, that means you have to put more work and calculate how you are and try to be better. Because sustainable is not a destination. You can't be sustainable. You can only be better than yesterday. So a lot of companies, they put a very big goal on themselves to be this, to be that. It's not about being who you are, but to be better than you are yesterday. So you have to have smaller steps. Step one, I need to be save this much energy, this much water. Or even step one, I know how much energy and water do I use, right? You have to know first, and then how much I save and how much I save more. So, and certification is to show that they achieve a certain step. But it just a lot of companies, they create the goal too big that they got struggle from their ambition. So if a company, they have that certification, they want to show, because that means they show their achievement. The price will reflect on how they source or how they products or how different or unique the product is. Price is vary. You know, some company doesn't have any certification, they're still expensive. Product is unique.
Thank you. So do we have another question for our speakers? Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. There is a question currently, especially in France, to modulate the price of the fabrics or of the clothes based on their eco score. Well, it's not that clear. And on top of knowing whether or not you contribute to reduce or to improve the general impact, there is this questions about closing the loop and becoming a bit nationalistic or local centric. So how do you foresee that? What do you think about the eco score on the new indicators that will be mandatory soon in France?
You was talking about EcoBalise, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean EcoBalise. This is a great tool, but we have to improve, I mean, these tools because like durability is maybe lacking, you know, like how you compare like a T-shirt of 250 GSM with one 130 GSM. The 130 GSM has like a better score compared to the 250 GSM, but it will last 3 wash and that's it. So this is like something which is tricky, and yes, we have to make it better, let's say. So this is the first part. Second part, we were like talking about the trendiness of like recycled cotton, BCI, all this kind of thing. Now we should have like sustainability attributes on every labels. Otherwise, it's not possible. So okay, this is a game. Let's play with that. But at the end, what I really believe in is how about the whole process and the whole production? Some companies, they are really go deeper into the analysis. They go on site and they check everything, etc. This is very interesting, but not, I mean, not every brand can do that. So we have to rely on a couple of big brands which can push for this kind of deep analysis. Otherwise, like this core is, yeah, it's not perfect, let's say.
Yes. Was it Ecolabel?
Yeah, no, EcoBalise.
EcoBalise.
Yeah, we just released it, I mean, maybe 5 months back.
Yes, because I heard UN say there was a eco-label where you calculate carbon footprint and put on each clothing, like on a T-shirt, they calculate how much footprint to make a T-shirt. Is that one?
Not completely. It goes back to the product environmental footprints.
Yes.
That is a project that is due to scale at the European level, but France is the first one to test this approach. So they will create an eco score. It's a score from A to F according to the friendliness of the clothes in regard of its environmental impact. But there are many discussions on how it should be calculated. And because not all the brands have got the means to finance themselves their own ways to do life cycle analysis, there is a tool that has been released by the states that is free of charge to be used, which is called EcoBalise.
EcoBalise, okay.
Yeah, but it's...
I will look into it. But from what you say, I think it's exciting because if you see it as a game, let's put it as a game. It's a new game, right? Whoever learn to play that game will master that game quicker. It's a new thing coming out. If you learn, you know how to do it, you have an advantage over somebody that learned it 2 or 3 months later. You know, and then it's going to be implemented. Everybody's going to use it, rather learn it now. No? You put it that way, it's good.
It's a tools, but it shouldn't be like the only tools. Or otherwise, it will be a mess everywhere.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Yeah, one last question, but very, very quickly, because I have to give the stage back. So.
It's not a question, but actually, yes, there is the French regulation with the environmental footprint in France with EcoBalise, but there is also, as you mentioned, the PEF, so product environmental footprint on the European level. So actually, yes, it will be mightly a slight question. So how, as a supplier, you face those two different methods, which are quite similar, but Europeans arrived first, but then the French came and they said like, no, we are similar, but not really. And now we have both of those who will be launched in at least 3 months at difference, if we can say. And if we don't have the ESPR on the textile level, which will be finished and approved one of the methods, it's already complicated for the brands, but how at the supplier level do you feel all of this tension and quite uncertainties?
Yeah. Okay. You want?
You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Actually, like for this question, it's back to the regulation and also reporting. Actually, have even if the French regulation alone is so complicated, and if you go on the European level, so like for the ESPR or like EPR and also the BEF in France as well. So actually, they do some of the regulation they have overlapping. So actually, have some of the company and like Greenly and also for another company, they only do the assessment and the reporting. So they find this problem. So they have overlapping part, and for now, like even you can take like more the difficult like regulation part, and after that we automate it just in a few hours, in a few minutes, they will generate like for another reporting for you. So we'll navigate. For example, if you want to navigate for the brand's carbon footprint or supplier carbon footprint, so you take the one most difficult, and they take most of the data, the water and energy, etc. And after you apply for the most difficult one, and you can automatically generate the reporting for the another reporting. Yeah, I think that will be the process, like and also like how you navigate, and yeah, like it's so complicated. So actually, you need to compare like to what's the difference and for this laws regulation, and after you take one and to pitch, and you don't need to like cover for all the regulations and the reporting, but you can cover like most of the difficult one, like for the CS Act and also like for the like ESG is really like too general. But I think like for the in France, like CS Act is quite enough at the moment. Yeah.
I would say from supplier point of view, what they see is a different platform they have to fulfill, and not the different, either it's like French way or European way or whatever. They just see like the different platform from the different brand or different retailers. That's it.
I'm really sorry, but we have to stop now. And thank you so much for your participation. And you're very welcome for our next panel conversation to suggest topics. And yeah, I'm happy to have you here, and I hope to see you again in September. And now I'm giving the stage to the prize. Thank you so much, dear speakers.
Thank you. Thank you.